Hi, this is Scott Hucks with Hucks and Vaught, Getty and Hucks, your lawyers at the beach. And today I'm here with my law partner, Gene Vaught, and one of my dearest, oldest friends, and to talk a little bit about the types of law that he practices and how the things they have in common and the things they differ in. And Gene, we know that your two major areas of focus in the firm are personal injury, a lot of car wrecks, slip and falls, things like that, and also workers' compensation. And I think that the way they're together and the way they're things they have in common and the things they differ in,
right,
both really interest me, because from a 30,000 foot view, when you look down on it, you have an individual who gets hurt, generally through no fault of their own.
Correct.
And they need a lawyer to help them out of this hole that they find themselves in. And I also understand that there are substantially different areas of practice. So if you could just talk to us a little bit about those differences in the areas of law.
Yes, they are very different. Workers' compensation is very unique, and it's different from any other type of personal injury law. As you mentioned, I do personal injury law in general, which is a broad umbrella. That can be anything from your typical automobile accident that you mentioned, slip and fall, trip and fall. It could be something involving death, which would be a wrongful death claim. It could be an injury resulting from a defective product, which we call product's liability type litigation. And the biggest difference between those areas of personal injury law and a workers' compensation claim is we have a specific statute in South Carolina, and it's thick, it's detailed. A lot of attorneys don't do workers' compensation. It's not the easiest thing to understand and apply. But a couple of major differences. I'll start off with medical treatment. Okay, you've been injured, and like you said, from a 30,000 feet view. What's the difference? Somebody got hurt. It's not their fault. What differences come into play? Well, if you get in an automobile accident and you're injured, you probably go to the hospital, maybe by ambulance, and then they say follow up with your primary care physician, your family doctor, or they may say you need to go see an orthopedic surgeon. And so you're going to go your doctor's office, the doctor you've seen forever, and he or she may say, hey, Scott, you need to go have an x-ray, and they're going to refer you over here, and then they're going to say, oh, you need to go see this doctor who's an expert in knee injuries. And so you're going to go, and you're going to be in control of your medical treatment. That's the big thing. You're going to pick your doctors because why? At least initially, you're paying the bills, or your health insurance is paying the bills. Major difference number one with workers' compensation. You're injured on the job. The workers' compensation insurance carrier for your employer has that authorization, has that 100% ability. They are paying your medical expenses. And so they are going to tell you which doctor to go to, when to go see them, because they're cutting the check. So the choice of your medical providers is one of the first issues and differences that we deal with in workers' compensation that we don't have to deal with in other areas of personal injury law.
So if I'm hurt on the job, I slip and fall down the stairs and have to get some treatment, in me not being able to pick my doctors, is it the insurance company that picks the doctors, the workers' compensation insurance company, or is it a commission? Is it a person? Who picks those?
It is the workers' compensation insurance carrier for your employer. They have unfettered 100% control over your medical care. They will select your doctors, and that is the doctor that you are required to see. Now, you always have the right to seek an independent medical opinion and evaluation, as long as you're paying for that out of your pocket. And so a lot of times in workers' compensation, I'll have a client that's been seeing this doctor for a period of time. It's the doctor that the insurance carrier sent them to, and they say, I'm not getting better, or I just don't feel like this doctor's listening to me, or I want to talk with somebody else. I want to go see another doctor. I want to choose my own doctor. And I always will tell them, you can do that, but you're going to have to pay that doctor out of your pocket because that's not a doctor that's authorized by the workers' compensation insurance carrier.
Now, in a workers' compensation situation, unlike a personal injury situation where you say you go to your doctor makes sure that you're 100% better or as good as you can be,
right,
and you pick your doctors and you have faith in those doctors specifically. In a workers' compensation situation, when do they decide when to stop treatment?
The doctor, the authorized treating physician, who is that doctor, once again, that the workers' compensation insurance carrier has said, this is the doctor you're going to go to. Ultimately, that doctor is going to make a decision as to when their patient, my client, has reached what we call maximum medical improvement. MMI is the term we use. That means you're either back to pre-accident state, you're 100%, or you're as good as you're going to get. I couldn't get you back to 100%. And at that point in time, they are going to release you from care. They're going to provide what's called an impairment rating, which I'm sure you'll ask me about in a second. And then based on that impairment rating, they will also possibly provide permanent restrictions, limitations. These are things that you can't do anymore, or these are things that you're going to have accommodations for. You can't lift more than 10 pounds. You can't climb stairs. You can't work overhead, something like that. And all that's going to translate into the degree of disability that person is going to suffer from. They may also say, that although you've reached maximum medical improvement and there's nothing else medically we can do to get you any better than you are today, you're still going to need ongoing treatment, future medical, to keep you where you're at. And so that's something that we're also concerned with, and we consider when we're reach a point where we're trying to evaluate what is my workers' compensation claim worth.
So that's my next question. Once someone reaches maximum medical improvement, which I assume is decided by the doctor?
Correct. That's correct.
So once the doctor decides someone's maximum medical improvement, at what point in time should a person hurt on a job contact you or contact an attorney that's versed in this to help them through this process? And what's the benefit of that?
Well, I believe that the person should get an attorney involved if they have suffered a significant injury. As soon
break your
after,
pinky toe,
yeah,
you need to call a lawyer.
As soon after the accident and you suffer the injury as possible. Do not wait until you're at the end of your claim. Your doctor has released you. Insurance company has already said, or more times than not in a workers' compensation setting, that insurance company has already hired an attorney. So you're dealing with an insurance company, you're dealing with an attorney, and your treatment period could be 9 months, 12 months, or longer. And then all of a sudden, you're hearing, okay, the doctor says you're at maximum medical improvement. The doctor's assigned you 8% rating to your back. At your compensation rate, that translates to X times this, times this. This is what we're offering you. And you're just blown away because you don't know where that's coming from. As I said, we've got a very thick, detailed statute that details how these cases are valued, how they're to be resolved. So get your attorney involved at the beginning.
I tell clients this all the time on the criminal side, and some of the PI stuff that we do, personal injury stuff that we do together, is a lot of times you need a lawyer because a lawyer speaks lawyer speak, right?
Correct.
A lawyer speaks the appropriate language for the issue that you're having.
Correct.
And if you, I use this example a lot, if they put me on a plane and I got off in China, I'd have to find somebody that spoke English and Chinese
Correct.
to help me through it.
That's
right?
correct. That is correct.
And the dangers of going into that fully legal environment without somebody that speaks that language seem to me, as a novice in that area, vast, that they could be a big deal.
That's correct. And again, that applies, I think, to any area of the law. And you do primarily criminal defense work, and you have people call you just like they call me, and I've been injured in an accident. Do I need an attorney? I got arrested. Can I go to court and represent myself? And the answer that we give is, yeah, you can go represent yourself. Yeah, you can represent yourself in a workers' compensation claim. You don't need an attorney. Will you be benefited by having an attorney? Absolutely. And in a workers' compensation context, I think as much, if not more so, than especially in a personal injury type arena setting, I think you absolutely, again, assuming you don't just have a very minor injury, you're going to need to have the benefit of an experienced attorney who practices workers' compensation, has been practicing workers' compensation for a while, because particularly in the area of damages, that's where people just totally get blown away. Because if you're involved in an automobile accident, or you slip and fall in the grocery store and you've got a personal injury claim there, and I'm sitting down with somebody and they suffered a broken leg and they were out of work for 3 months, and their spouse missed all this time from work because they had to help take care of them and take the kids to school and get the kids back from school and cook and mow the grass, everything that you were doing but you can't do during the time that you're out. And then you've got all these medical expenses, and you have gone through all of this pain and suffering and mental anguish. And what's my case worth, Gene? Well, I can sit down and I go through all those elements of damages with them and say, based on this, I think this is what the reasonable value of your case is. That's where workers' compensation is so different. Well, what do you mean my broken leg that I was out of work 3 months for, that I suffered on the job? What do you mean all I'm getting is X dollars because I have a 12% rating that orthopedic doctor gave me, which I don't even understand what that means anyway? What about my pain? What about my suffering? What about my emotional distress? What about all my wife went through? And the bottom line and the hard answer I have to give them is, it doesn't matter. Not in workers' compensation, because you do not get pain and suffering. You do not get emotional distress. You are compensated based on the extent of your permanent disability, even wages, Scott. If I get injured in an accident in a car accident and I miss time from work, and when I am released from the doctor, I'm getting my employer to write up something saying Gene was out of work from this date to this date. This is what Gene's salary is. This is what his total lost wages are. And those are 100% recoverable in that type of situation as part of your damages. In workers' compensation, however, you're not getting fully reimbursed for lost wages. The statute says that while you're out of work under a doctor's orders, you're entitled to what we call temporary benefits. Temporary benefits are essentially 2/3 of your average weekly wage, and you were paid those during the time frame you're out of work. So you're already losing 1/3 of what you'd be able to earn anyway.
Now, are these this discounted pay, is that based on, does that have an upper limit? So if some doctor falls down and gets hurt in the hospital, and he's making several $100,000 a year, let's say, are his benefits limited, what he can receive over the course of the claim pending?
Yes, and that's one of the sad parts about workers' compensation. There is a cap on that average weekly wage, that compensation rate that we're talking about, and that cap is adjusted each year by the South Carolina Workers' Compensation Commission. And I think now it's somewhere in the area of about $950, $960. So that individual, that the doctor that gets injured on the job, who is making a substantial salary, and their average weekly wage is a substantial amount, the most they're going to be able to recover in temporary benefits during that time they're out of work is that capped amount. So their average weekly wage may be, $10,000. That's what they make per week or more. And if the statutory cap, which again at this time I think it's somewhere in the area of $950, $960, then that's the most they can recover on a weekly basis for those temporary benefits.
So we spoke a little bit ago about, you mentioned disability ratings.
Yes.
Right. So a doctor at the end of this, at the end of treatment says pardon me,
yes,
this part of your body is disabled this much.
Correct.
And as a result, your work has to either change or not change moving forward, or you
Right.
can't perform this job any longer. Is having an attorney on the front end of your case helpful in debating exactly what a disability rating is?
Absolutely, because again, if I'm involved on the front end of that case, I'm going to be receiving copies of your medical records, notes from your doctors after each visit. Within a week or so, I've got that. I read those reports. I see where things are going. A doctor, he or she is there to treat. That's their job. They're not really concerned about writing something up that's going to answer some attorney's questions for the purposes of a report. But if I can see early enough coming on, okay, well this and my client's coming in and saying, well, I talked to the doctor about this, and they didn't really, and I look at that report and they don't even address it, then these are things that I can start addressing with the medical providers early on. But I don't have somebody walking into me and they have been under a doctor's care for 18 months and now they've been released and dropping a stack of medical records on my desk saying, what is my case worth? What do I need to do now? I've been kept up to speed all along so I can advise the client. And situations may be that I say, I think we need to get another opinion. If you're telling me that you're going to the doctor and you're told the doctor every time you go in, well, my knee's okay. It doesn't feel so bad, but my ankle is bothering me. My ankle's going numb and my ankle swells up. And nothing is being addressed. Maybe we need to request a second opinion, or maybe we just need to send you to somebody for that independent opinion.
So I guess what that boils down to, kind of in summary of where we're at so far, is that having an attorney on the front end of one of these workers' comp cases to guide and help steer the ship is a whole lot better on the front end than it is on the back end.
Absolutely.
Because helping steer treatment and helping helping the client speak lawyer and speak doctor, and trying to do that interpreting and help steer treatment is beneficial long-term for the client.
It is, and I would say it's the same situation. If somebody was going to hire you on a criminal matter, you would much rather them hire you a few days after the arrest as opposed to coming to you and say, I've got trial tomorrow and I need an attorney to go represent me.
Happens too often.
It's all about preparation. Your attorney can best assist you if he is in a position to be prepared, he or she is in a position to be prepared, and not coming in at the last minute.